suggested there, the crude. When I think about New Zealand painting, I think the context, artists making work, it's very difficult to avoid that context. And just if I think about one thing, there is and these two wise gentlemen next to me may have opinion on this, there is an overwhelming kind of idea about, contemporary painting in New Zealand for the last 50 years, which is to do with a kind of a palette. If you look at all the gentlemen sitting here, it's black and grey. And if we think about New Zealand painting in general, it's black and grey. The idea of putting shocking pink, yellow, this is not something we see often in New Zealand painting. And we often kind of react to bright colours in a way that we think of it as being a bit infantile, or we think of it as being a bit kind of vulgar or obvious, or New Zealand has got a dress code which is kind of dark, black, grey, and some would say that's kind of part of our cultural demeanour as well, is that we're feeling so immediately when you walk into a space like this and you just see what's coloured, you think, Jesus Christ, where's this coming from? It's not something. Well, actually, I but it's like colour is not something that there's been a history of discussion within the New Zealand painting context, and yet here you are, unashamedly creating all this intense vivid colour. The only time we see colour is in the Pacific Island community, really, where it's celebrated. But the rest of us don't seem to do that.
Van der Velden was all about light and isn't like colour. Van der Velden was all about light and isn't like colour.
Yeah,
but he didn't do Yvonne. He didn't do Yvonne because Yvonne is doing self-portrait and she's all about colour.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. Thinking about that in the context of where does it come from, because it's not something we commonly see.
No, definitely not.
Rather than I know like a lot of particular artists will use subject or things to create shock or to create, and it's like I say, you walk in this room and you're instantly kind of smashed by the fact that there's these colours, like four colour clashes or just an intense array of colours in one space at the same time. And I think there is something fascinating by the fact that colour can actually do that. But in terms of the work itself, I know when I am painting, I am purposefully arguing with myself, and the paint is almost arguing, so I'm asking myself, why would I put a clash or a move of colour next to each other? And so whatever intentionality I have behind the work will tell me why I'm putting that there and what it is actually going to do. The fact that they turn out so intense and overly colourful is just how that ends up, I guess. So either that means I have a crazy mind or I'm a little bit blind.
I think it's something to do with the fearlessness that they can figure out just alive in the right colours. You don't really care. Or you feel in control of your pen. Not concerned with the black and greys or New Zealand painting. It's your world and it's self-portrait.
So the one person I do think of is Jeffrey Harris. And early Jeffrey Harris, and again the same thing that most people reacted quite, not readily accepted it is because there was a lot of psychology in his work. There was a lot of personal psychology in his work. Again, it's not something that New Zealanders like to openly embrace. So he had the same sort of shocking effect on those early film reports of his before his cigarette.
It's funny though, because I see that one just over there in that corner, and it is a bit like that Van der Velden or Terra Gorge, like if you don't look at the detail, don't look into it, it's all about that light, and it's striking for that reason, So light isn't something that New Zealand painters have painted much of, really. It's not something that people do intentionally anyway.
Yeah, although I just kind of
Not like that.
down on the idea that New Zealand painting was distinctive because we have a strange eye, provincial idea that this is what distinguishes our landscapes from everybody else's. I think that was quite a cooked up idea by people who sort of were interested in nationalism
Yeah.
and having a distinctive thing. I'm not sure. So, tend to agree with Francis Pound when he said that was just bollocks.
Yeah.
I do like contrasts of things as well. I like how red, I'm talking about Jeffrey Harris's work, it's so red, but red's such an aggressive colour. But I don't know if it's the subject of his, but for mine, especially that one there, because it was, I was mentioning before that I did backgrounds first, so that all that red that came through it is quite aggressive, but then almost contrasting or contradicting it with the placement of the figures and how they're just very limp and lame and not really associating with anything, almost counteracts that aggressiveness. So I find it quite fun when you can use colour to give one extreme and then use either the composition or again the textures and what the figures are doing or not doing to counteract that.
I don't know much about art, but I know you, and I see a lot of your connection because you have a real heart for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see like you and your imagination, like you see you connect that.
Well, I have travelled lots of years, I guess.
But there's also another place where there's lots of colour and stuff as well.
Yeah.
The animals and it's part of who you are, because you've been connected to it. That's just like I'm not doing anything about it.
What's your next series going to be like?
Well, I did one painting that I showed Richard, it's the same as these, which for me is fine, because I quite like, I don't feel like I really played it out, that sounds really crazy, but and as much as I said that scenes with narrative painting, it's all in one scene, one canvas, all the whole narrative is played out. For me, it's kind of played out when it's played out, so it's almost like reading a script, it feels like it's not quite done yet. So I think they probably will still look like this for a little bit. But I do also kind of feel a bit excited about moving differently. And I know my painting changed a lot when I went quite small and thick and textural, and I got a bit kind of grunty with it. And I want to go just a little bit smaller again, just to take away some of the space that I'm filling and just have it a bit more confined so I can experiment a little bit more with paint again. So that might change it. Well, thank you all. Is that everything?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please help us.